So today is the next in the series of MIEE sessions from Turn It On. We are going to have a look today at how we can use Minecraft education across the whole curriculum. It's going to be just a flavour of getting started, and I'm really aware with the group of people that we have together here that some people are absolutely flying with Minecraft education and using it quite readily, and have gone the right way through to people that haven't even installed it and started to use it. So I've tried to pitch this at a level where everyone can get a foothold. But I fully appreciate some of you are doing way more with it, and I'd be really grateful if you could share your experiences and talk about what you've been doing. The Minecraft is sorry, the MIEE itself is moving along. The application submission is getting ever closer. Don't forget, we've got our own digital professional pathway sessions going on, and they're on the Turn It On website where you can join training sessions if you haven't yet got your Microsoft Educator or your Advanced Educator, and it will help you get that sorted out. We've also got a code I'll give you at the end of today's session for bespoke Minecraft training, which will help with your experience points as well in Learn, and I'll share that with you at the end. So the process, which you should all be really familiar with, hopefully everyone now has got a Learn profile and they're busy using that and completing the qualifications. A reminder, you have to get Microsoft Educator and Microsoft Advanced Educator in order to submit your MIEE application. And then when you make your self-nomination application, that needs to be submitted via the MIEE portal. Where that's located, I'll pop it in chat for you now. If you haven't yet pre-registered, you can. You don't have to submit the final application at this point, but I'll pop the link in the chat. And if anyone's listening, it will be there for you to go and pick it up later. Make sure that you go and get registered for that, and then it will be all set up when you want to pop your application in. The discussion around this is really making sure that you've got that evidence gathered, that it's substantial, and it's going to make sure that you get through and you qualify as an MIEE. We will have a dedicated session where we go through and we will consider in a bit more detail exactly what you put into each section, but having those learn qualifications sorted out are really key. The evidence document is not only in this presentation, but it's on the self-nomination portal, so you can get that to structure it, with the phase one being about you, the phase two are the scored questions, and the phase three of the long answer questions. I really need to sort that day out. It's not July the 14th, it's June the 26th. And then your about you is the background information about you, not counted in any way. And it's just for Microsoft to get an idea of what you're doing, the area you're in, passions, interests, and so forth. Phase two are the AI machine learning questions, which will simply be yeses or nos and definitive answers. It's going to be one of those where you're going to have to just look at the answers that are there and fill them in appropriately. Some of them will be in tabular format and you will wonder how on earth it's marked, but apparently it's looking for entries in certain cells in the tables, and others are where you have to actually tick options or fill in a radial box with a circle to make sure that you're indicating you're doing something or not doing it. Phase three is the section where you're going to have a greater number of characters, between 500 and 2000 as a space to fill in. And you're going to have to lean on the evidence that you've been gathering since you started this process and demonstrate to Microsoft just how you're using the apps in M365, but how you're developing your practice, but more importantly, because you're aiming to be an MIEE, it's how you're working with others, either within your school, or if you're in a trust, it might be within other schools, or you might not be in a trust and you might just be reaching out to other schools in the area. But you should be showing that you're enhancing the practice of others and helping students beyond your classroom, or if you're not in a teaching and learning focused role, that you're helping colleagues in other departments. So there's lots of ways to do this. That's the bit which next session will spend quite a long time going through all the possible questions. What's the best evidence to include within each of those questions? And we'll go through that in quite a long amount of detail, but it's well worth it because it will help you with getting the correct evidence in. The reasons why the application is successful, it might be that your application submitted isn't visible. So check it's uploaded, check it's completed, make sure it's submitted in there. Ensure that you've got all the answers for every question asked. For some years, we've asked people to submit these, but they've decided not to put an answer in for some of the questions. I'm not sure why, but of course, that's a direct rejection from Microsoft. It's also not having enough evidence or not having evidence of the correct type and then linking it with a question when actually your evidence type is the answer for another question. And that's partly why we'll spend so long going through the phase 3 next time. And then it's thinking about if you're a returning MIE, and I think I've got one person on here who is what you've been doing in the previous year to move forwards. But if you've not a returning MIE, you can skip that section. And I believe there's some branching within the actual form in the web version, which means that when you say no to that, it won't show you further questions. The range is, of course, open because it was 9th of May that it opened, and it will close on June the 26th. Just to avoid that meltdown scenario, I would try to get your applications in on the 25th. There was 1 year, I think it was last year, but there's 1 year where it all went horribly wrong and people were struggling to get their applications in. The portal had gone down and it was just causing everyone a lot of stress. So if you can try to submit it on the 25th rather than 26th, but I fully appreciate this term is manic without trying to make an MIEE application. So just work with the time you've got available. Are there any questions around that at the moment? Anyone having any difficulties? Anyone who'd like any clarifications on anything to do with the application process? Just going to go over and check chat. Nothing in the chat. Okay, if you do think of anything, feel free to pop it in there. I will try to pick it up and deal with it. I'll pick that up at the end. So one of the apps that you're going to need to demonstrate that you have had a go with, even if you haven't used it in a large way, is Minecraft Education. Used to be called Education Edition, but recently got rebranded. So we're going to have a look at the areas today about why you might use it, touch upon technical, because although we're not here for technical, there are some complications with using it if you've never done that before, and then look at how to just get started with things like build challenges and how to manage those projects. Why is the question sometimes I'm asked. Why on earth do I want to introduce Minecraft into the classroom? What value has it possibly got? It's just going to be a distraction and so forth. I'd argue against all of those, and some of the reasons we'll quickly cover now. But Minecraft itself really does drive that open-mindedness in the students, and they change over time for some of them or more rapidly with others into adopting that growth mindset of, well, actually there's lots of things that are possible because I can achieve this in this Minecraft world. And Minecraft Education is not the same Minecraft they might have on a gaming console or a PC at home. It has some content removed around violence and distractions, and you've got greater control over what's going on, but they've still got the freedom and the flexibility of a Minecraft environment they may have come across previously. It does, in my experience, really drive students to be creative and thoughtful about how they're solving a problem they might come to. In very often, if we have either had an entire project in Minecraft or I've engaged with a part of a project in Minecraft, maybe we started traditionally with researching something in another way, and the culmination of the project is to take Minecraft and create something in that virtual world, it tends to be really memorable. And often the pupils or the students I'm working with will refer to that, and because that learning has become so sticky, it often asks them to say, can we use that again in a way? And it's not difficult once you start to consider how it can work across the curriculum. There are some examples we'll look at later that are inside Minecraft Education itself, but there are 6 really clear principles we'll look at in just a moment that underpin all of this. But before we start, it's just trying to get rid of that myth about using games in the classroom. It's not the same if you've got a game and you're using gamification, such as if you're in a primary school, you might say, look, if we can just get through the numeracy work we need to do, maybe doing some spag or something, we will get past that. And what I'll do is I'll give you some extra time. You can all get the iPads out and you can have a go on your favorite game. That's gamification. It's not adding any value whatsoever to the learning of those pupils and students. It may a little bit if they decide to do something like a maths revision app, but really most of the time they're going to pick something that's not. Where Microsoft falls with Minecraft is that it's game-based learning. In that engaging environment of Minecraft, it's already a stimulus and a hook. They want to be in there. but it becomes that environment they're drawn into. But they can start to transfer those real world skills into using it in there. And very often that collaboration, the problem solving, the building, the pride in having achieved something is all part of that game-based learning. The 6 principles I just spoke about are the fact that they and you will fail from time to time, and you have to be not scared of that and tell your colleagues that it's okay. I cannot keep up with the amount of information I need to assimilate about using Minecraft education. And I just stop, have some plenaries. I call upon the expertise and the knowledge of the students and the pupils I'm working with and get them to show others and help that to raise the standards in the classroom. It's also about you being somewhat flexible with the way you want to get through the learning. You'll have an outcome in mind, but the path that they take might be different to the one you planned originally, or it might be slightly different for different groups around the room, and that's absolutely okay. And to some degree, Minecraft offers that level of individualized learning that you can't necessarily get in other ways. And I feel that's a massive benefit with delivering a topic, and I've used it in all sorts of subjects. It also means that they're very often building an empathy of working with each other. And sometimes where I've got behavioral issues or I've got some challenging pupils and students I might work with, because we've introduced the Minecraft element, they may not readily engage with working with others, but actually they're quite settled and focused within the classroom. But there has been occasions where I've not been able to get a pupil or a student to work with another individual in the classroom at all. But by bringing in the Minecraft, they've paired up with someone or they've joined a very small group and they've started to find success and build skills in that way anyway. So there's 6 clear principles there around why you would introduce Minecraft education and the benefits it has. That growth mindset of letting go and giving some control to the pupils or the students you're working with is, as I said, really important. Often one project can act as a stimulus for others, or if you are undertaking something. So recently I was working with some Welsh schools and we were looking at building and recreating a town in Wales, and what started off as working with recreating one building, which was looking at a church, and I had all the people's coming together to work on that, has spiraled. And I found that in the summer term that the class teachers going back in a primary school setting, and they're actually going to get each pupil to research the history of a local building. And now we've got post-SATs, it's a year 6 class, they're going to spend some time building the actual physical buildings in the town, but how they would have looked in the 1950s, and they're recreating an area of the town, and they're going to invite people into school and they're going to show that in assembly. So it really has taken on a life of its own, and that was just by introducing Minecraft in the beginning. But saying that you've got a student-centered classroom really can be achieved in a large way by using Minecraft. If you have any need to go and find out in further information, some people are just genuinely curious, there are 5 books there, and I'll leave them in the deck, and you'll be able to go and say do some deeper reading about using games in the classroom, or using game-based learning in the classroom, and getting away from gamification. Before we look at some of the aspects to be successful at using it and getting some of the technical pitfalls out of the way, has anybody got anything they'd like to raise, any experiences of introducing Minecraft and how it's gone for them? Quick look in the chat over there.
Hello. Hi.
Hi,
Can
Adam.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think this is Dylan. I hope I wasn't unmuted before anyway. But so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can absolutely hear you.
I'm just wondering about like the practicalities of students accessing that in school, accessing the software. Would they? Is this a paid software? Do they have to log in? Do I have to, run it past the IT department first? Or, I mean, it sounds so fun to get them, and I can think of, some really cool ways to do it. But I'm just thinking about those practicalities.
Yeah, no, that is a good question. So he's on the next slide, but let's just deal with the elephant in the room. It's free to download. It's free to install. Okay. The licensing around it, you can go down one of 2 routes. A lot of schools in secondary settings, special schools and colleges, tend to have not the base level licensing, but the next level up, where you can log into Minecraft education and it's just part of that licensing level. If you are a primary school, and you have the free level of licensing from Microsoft. You can either upgrade and buy a certain number of licenses, which is a subscription per year, which isn't as costly as it sounds, or you can go through, and what you can do is buy a Minecraft education specific license, and you can use that to license Minecraft education on a set of computers and use it that way. So you've got the option to go either way.
Okay, so there's starting involves paying, basically. Is there any way I can try it out before making a decision to actually, purchase it as a school?
Yeah, depending on how your teacher account's set up, normally all
Okay.
staff accounts are given that middle level of licensing.
Okay.
And that allows you to download it. And if you sign in with your email address and password you use to log into your Outlook, it will then just go through.
So it's connected to Outlook, right? So Microsoft have an agreement with Minecraft on that. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Microsoft own Minecraft, so
there
yeah,
you
they
go.
bought it. Yeah, they've got it.
Nice
Yeah,
one. Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
no problem at all. Any other questions? No.
Hi, Martin.
Hello,
Right.
Adam.
Just a quick one. You mentioned some links to kind of some books and things. We still don't have access to the chat. Well, I don't think I've ever had access to the chat in these sessions. So that's yeah. I don't know where you were posting those.
Okay, that's in the deck. So if I go back ones, so when I pop the deck in the team, those, can you see them on screen now? Is that showing for you or not?
No, I can only see you.
Hold on a minute. Let me reshare my screen then. That's weird. Have you all been suffering the same fate? Because I've rattled through several decks, assuming you could see them. Hold on, let me reshare the screen then. Oh, that's weird. I've got the share line around the screen, but it's clearly not sharing. Sorry. Can you see that now? It says further reading.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't realize any of you can see it. I've got the red line as if the screen's sharing, but clearly you haven't been seeing any of that at all, and you've just been listening to me prattling on for the last 10 minutes. Sorry. Yeah, those will be on the deck, and I'll pop the deck into our team afterwards. I haven't put them in the chat. I did put the link for the thing in the chat, but I will in a minute when we're doing something else. I'll see if I can work it out.
I can't see the chat either, Martin.
Okay. I'll check our
like
settings.
In previous sessions, I haven't been able to see the chat either. I don't think other people have either.
All right. I will check you're not down as you're down as attendees, not participants. I don't know if there's anything weird going on there. Unless Turn It On have applied the policy to make sure that anyone external to Turn It On has not got chat. That's going to be annoying if that's the case. All right, let me investigate that one. Sorry, the deck that I was going through, I'm just going to flick back then. There's information in here from what I was talking about gamification and game-based learning. There's the 6 principles and the growth mindsets. So all of that's in there. Apologies, you haven't seen that. That's what I thought you were seeing, but clearly not. So sorry, that's my fault. If I just pop through here, so yeah, there is a need to have the upgraded licensing, but the licensing is often there for teachers because of what you need as a teacher. You couldn't usually get by in the classroom with the basic free licensing. There is a checker and there's a link when you get the deck in our team. So if you want to go check your licensing and if it's sufficient to use Minecraft Education, you can click the hyperlink, which will be there in the slides that I'll put into our files section in our team. The other thing in here is devices. It's more open than it ever was. So it will run on Windows 10 and 11. I think there's barely any schools that have got 7 left unless budgets are really tight. And I do appreciate there's a few, but not many. If you've got any sort of Apple devices, it will run on Mac OS, so desktop and MacBooks if you've got that luxury. Or if you've got iPads, there's an iPad app in the App Store you can install for iPad OS. And it was launched on Chrome OS in autumn 2020. So it does run on quite a wide range of devices. Despite Microsoft owning it, they're very open to this being a non-Microsoft platform device. Sorry, software. You need to make sure that everyone's got the latest version installed. So when you asked earlier about the question on installing it, it's normally a need to get the IT support to install it. It can be pushed out from a server if it's on a Windows device, or if it's iPad management, it can be pushed out from the mobile management device. If it's Chromebook, it can get pushed out from the Chrome store. And then everyone needs to be on the same version. I'll show you where the version number is when we jump across in a minute. If they're not on the same version, collaborating and working together will be impossible. So you need to make sure that everyone's got the correct version. If it's not, normally it's a case of raising the ticket for IT support, because it either updates automatically or it's pushed out from your network. You also need to be on the same Wi-Fi. So the devices, you can't have, if you've got guest Wi-Fi or bring your own in school, you can't have some pupils or students working on devices on there and then the other on the school Wi-Fi. They all need to be on the same Wi-Fi network. Otherwise, the devices can't see each other to collaborate. It's usually good advice to try this out before you do it. Also, if you are inviting someone in, you're hosting a Minecraft environment, because people can join in the same environment. If they're not in their own private one, you need to be in the same channel to communicate, and I'll show you how to do that if you haven't done it. And also, there needs to be certain ports open on your broadband to the internet so that there are options to play multiplayer, but also to get certain things such as the coding element. That's strictly an IT thing, and they need to go and check those ports are open. All of those details are in the slides. So if you need to go and have that discussion with your technical IT support, those things are there. But the best thing you can do at the beginning is, if you've got the rights to do so, install Minecraft Education on your computer. If you just open up a browser and search for it, Minecraft Education, download it, it will come up, and then install it. And then the first thing you'll get is a login screen. It will say login, and it'll want your email address, pop that in, and then it will want your password. And that's the same when you log in to get to office.com or into your Outlook. And then it will just come into the environment we're about to have a look at now. So there's certain bits that you would be well advised to try before you start this on a whole class level, and it might be in the time we've got left before you put your application in, you just have a dabble and you might be show it to another colleague. But as far as your application is concerned, it's really important that you say something along the lines of that you've shared it with others, and they're maybe considering how it might work for them. Any questions on the technical before I move on to the last bits and jump over? No. Okay. So one of the things that you normally do is look at placing for first blocks. We'll do that in a minute. That's just going in and seeing what you can do in the way of building with it. And then it's exploring where you've got resources already in Minecraft. And Minecraft actually is quite well resourced, because there's a evangelical, in a nice way, community of people that are desperate to make it better and also help you. If you do go to a Minecraft Education forum, which there's a couple, people in there are so positive and overwhelmingly want to help you. And if you're stuck, and I know that I regularly get to certain things that I want to know how to do, they will jump on there and help you. You can also code. So for the computing curriculum, you can do it in block based. So in primary schools, that's really useful. But in secondary, it will allow you to move across to coding in Java and also Python. So you can get into that script based. And you can flip backwards and forwards if you need to debug or you're looking at algorithms. You can flip back to block if you're learning script based, but it goes both ways. There's loads and loads of challenges, and we'll look at where you find those in a minute, but there's always something new, so it never ever gets stale. And recently Minecraft revised in the education community the qualifications. So there's 3 courses to complete and learn: Minecraft 101, 201 and 301, snappy titles. And they will take you through from 101 being the building and placing your first blocks, right the way through to how to work communally and together and get stuck in. So I think that's probably a good point to jump out of the presentation and just go across and have a look. Adam, have you got your hand up? Did you want to ask something else? Or it's maybe just showing your hand from before for some reason on my side. No, your hand's disappeared. That's okay.
Sorry, hand from before.
Not a problem at all. Let me jump over and have a look at Minecraft itself. So once it's installed and you're logged in, you'll see the screen that I'm about to show with you now. Comes to here. On the right hand side, you will see your sprite or avatar. So you can go in there and you can change the way you look, in the same for a student. Just limit that when you start to introduce this with pupils, otherwise they'll spend forever in there and you get loads of lost learning time. If you want to do something with the settings. So if you've got older laptops and hardware, Minecraft does push the computer fairly fiercely, but even a base level processor, whichever device you're using, will normally cope. But if you need to do things such as settings, you can go in and you can, on video, you can turn off certain elements that might be making it look more flashy or updating the graphics more readily, which helps the processing. But one of the areas in here that's really useful is accessibility as well. So you can come in and you can change on-screen messages, you can change camera shakes and things like that. If you want to take it one step further and you think it's going to hook people in, if you've got Xbox controllers or pupils with Xbox controllers, they will readily hook up to a computer. So instead of using keyboard and trackpad or keyboard and mouse, you can do that. If you've got touchscreen devices, it will work in touch as well as it will work in anything else. And then down the bottom, if you've got EAL pupils, you can also have Minecraft displayed natively in other languages if you are not working primarily as English as your main language. So I often show that in the classroom as well, because I can have pupils in the class all working in different languages, and it only affects their Minecraft. If you want to get to those new projects, they're often in here and they're refreshed quite regularly. So there's been everything through tie-ins with BBC and Frozen Planet, to the Artemis project with rockets, through to social and emotional aspects. So there's quite a lot of content that keeps getting added in here. Some of it might be specific to other areas of the world, but to be honest, it's usually quite useful. And I tend to pick and choose, but that's quite good if you want something spontaneous, because you can come in and it's fresh and it's new and exciting. It might tie in the primary school to a piece of project work that you're already looking at, or a theme for a particular time of year. If you want to actually get on and use it, you go to play, and then it's into view my worlds, and in there you will find the worlds you've been working on, and we'll go in and we'll look at one of the worlds I've used before. But if you want to get a library of resources, you've got subject kits, and these are built and organized in American grades. But once you start to look at the level of challenge and the way they're pitched, for the cross-curricular aspect, all of your subjects are already prepared in here in a large way. There's a few subjects that could do with a bit more content. But if you went into maths, for instance, you might be looking at American grade 2 maths, and then you can start to get into looking at word problems, or you might be looking at volume and volume versus area. There's lots of different ways that you can come in and open it up, and I tend to just go and have a look at these when I'm planning and see which ones are fit for purpose, or whether they cover vaguely what I want. I might just use it as a consolidation exercise. Look, we've covered the main teaching, and we're going to go in and have a bit of Minecraft revision time, and we jump in here for half an hour and we have a go at revisiting something that should already have secure learning attached to it. Science, you can do modeling of cells, you can do a virtual periodic table. There's lots of areas there as well. So there's quite a bit of content already in there. And with introducing this to colleagues, that's often where I've had some quick wins and success, because people can see they haven't got to spend ages making their own worlds. There are monthly build challenges, and that links to the new content on the front. So the new content there with the empathy train also appears on the front of there. But at the same time, you've got lots of different blank canvases, such as if you wanted to in a primary school build a spaceship, you've got a launch pad and a gantry, and you can build off of there. Or if you wanted to look at building communities for empathy and people to support each other, you can do that. And there was one about London Bridge as well. Where it's also useful, you're not looking at build challenge, you can start to either have biomes or build plates. If you want a particular environment, instead of wasting the time getting that, you can go pick up a frozen environment or a jungle or something aquatic in some way. And then the flip side of biomes are build plates, and in build plates you've got base environments. It maybe you want a city layout with streets. It might be that you want a ravine or some sort of canyon, and you're going to do that. And those also give you a base starting environment, and they're quite useful again for not wasting time. If you have done learn, you've asked questions in the community, you can always go in here, and there's some really useful how-tos, one keyboard based, one touch based. And if you want to know some specific aspects about how to do some more advanced things, there are the additional tutorials in there. So that's all inside of the software itself, and you can get started on those at any point. Today is about just showing you what you could possibly achieve. So I've started with blocks of grass, and blocks of grass is a really simple environment. It is just an endless vista of grass, and in there'll be a few animals. And what I've done is I've taken that and I've used it to build different things. If you want to invite others, you can go into host, and then in host, you will be given the channel code and you can get people to join in and they will come in there with you. In the example I'm working with you today, I've left the controls on screen, but if you know the controls, as you're probably aware, you can press H to hide them, but you can bring them back at any time. So that saves you getting pestered by several pupils around the classroom asking you the same thing. What does that key do? What does this key do? And then if you want to invite other people in, your join code is here. So I've got sign, agent, panda, Alex. I can always refresh that, but then you've got share link as well, so you might want to send the share link to Teams if you've already got class Teams set up, or you can stop hosting and stop other people joining you. So I've launched a hosted version as it currently is, but I could have gone to play and I'd come in on my own. But at the moment, there would be the option if I gave people the join code to come in here. So it is QASD to move around, and you scroll around that environment. Depending on the power of your computer, it will either it'll load up the whole horizon or it will just load out when it comes to it. So I've been messing around here building a bit of a house. If I press space, I can jump, or double space, I can go up above, and then the rules apply in the sky that I can start to build to my house. So I want to put some different side walls in here, and you've got an inventory of equipment, and if you want to get to that, you press E. So I might want to add some different blocks on the side. At the moment I've got some stone, but I'd like to have some wood type material to go around the top there. So I think I'm going to get wooden planks, and I'm going to drop that into the place 2 on there, press escape to come back out. Then I might just come down a bit and I'm going to stand on top of my wall, and then you can either left click like that to get rid of a block, or you can right click to add a block, and then I can, if I go up above, I can start adding blocks in, and I can start to build. This is going to be my wooden roof, and then I'm going to start to work my way across the roof, coming across here. And then if I step away from the building a bit and have a look from far, okay, I'm going to need to patch up the roof there, but I'm starting to look at putting a wooden roof on a stone building, and that might be representative of a particular age in that we've looked at in history, or it might be representative of a building. But then you can add things in such as doors, or you can add handles. So if you go up to the handle, you might want to use the handle, and then if you don't smash the handle away, but if you want to close the door or get rid of the door entirely, I'm going to smash mine out there. You can throw resources in, but you could also work through, and then you can go inside. And I decided to put some windows in. If my door's gone, I'm going to go to option number 3, and what I'm going to do is going to put a door back in there. But now I'd need to work out a way to put a switch back in, and my switches, I might decide, look, I'm going to go back outside. I'm going to put myself back on the floor. I'm going to get rid of my wood from there, and I'm going to replace that with the material I was using before. I think it's just, if you're not sure, you can always go to stone. So I'm going to search for stone. And that looks like the material I was using for the walls. I'm going to drop that in over the wood and come out, and then add back in here, there, and then hopefully I can go back and I can add a switch on the wall so that I've rebuilt what I've got. So it doesn't matter if you mess things up, they can go back in, and then you can get more clever, such as a switch. When you operate a switch, it would open and close doors, and you can start to build the levels of complexity. But it all comes from putting in simple objects in the world around you, which is placing first blocks. What I've got here are boards and signs. So with the boards and signs, you can use those to give people information when they arrive in your world. So on here, I'm asking people to sign if they visited, which is a good way of keeping track of which pupils have come to which environments. And then there's a little sign there. So if I want to have those, I add them into my inventory. And for me, the sign or slate is number 8. So if I find where I'd like to place it, and I pop it in on the slate, and I might say, hello, welcome to my world, or something like that. And then you will be fine to start adding messages in. Now you can either lock that or you can leave it unlocked. If you lock it, no one's going to be able to leave a message like the one to the right hand side of me now. But if you leave it unlocked, then they will be able to add things to it. So there's a sign that I've popped in there. There's other good things that you can do just to introduce you to concepts. In equipment, there is something called camera and booking quill. And if you want to start to get pupils to be independent in evidencing their progress in their learning, you could start raining. You could select the camera, and what you could do with the camera is you can say, look, I'm going to place my camera in front of me, and there's my camera, and I'm going to make sure that I'm lined up with my building behind. It's going to show what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to click on my camera, and it's going to smoke away there, a bit like an old style gunpowder camera, and it will take a picture of me, and it's evidencing what I've achieved, so that as a teacher I can find out some information. So then if I go to book and quill, I can open up the booking quill in front of me, and in here's some other work I've been doing. But what I've got are pages, and I can leaf through those pages and I can see exactly what I've done previously, but I can start to add information in. So if I go to author that page, I might want to add from my camera roll what I've been doing. So over history of time as all my pictures. Here's the one from today. And then I might say on here, I don't know, roof going on or something like that. And it allows me as a teacher to be able to get some idea of what they've done either during a project or where they're up to within a project. And you can keep adding to that, or you can sign it. And when you sign it, it will lock it and it will export it as a PDF. And I quite regularly ask my pupils to create one during the lesson, sign it, drop the PDF into the class team, and I can see exactly what they've been doing. But what I don't have to do then is go and load up Minecraft to start going into projects. I can look at their booking quill and I can get evidence of what they've been doing from there, because they'll have taken a picture either of themselves or taken a picture of what they've been doing within that environment. The last bit to show you is an introduction. Is there are things called chat commands, and with chat commands you can control other things in the Minecraft environment. So you will have an NPC, a non-player character, which can be controlled by typing chats in here. So you might have a chat such as come to me, and you type come, and then it will come over to you, and it's either when it's you or the avatar itself. So at the moment my agent is up here, but my agent can do different jobs for me. And this is where maybe the computing curriculum comes in more readily. But if you press C for coding, this is where we can get to the block-based coding that we were talking about earlier. So it might be that I want my agent to dig a hole for me. So in here, there's an algorithm that's been created, and other programs all work in a similar way of block-based coding. So my chat command is come along to here, and it's hello agent, and then the agent will come to me and it teleports to wherever I am. And then I type the chat command dig, and it's going to repeat 4 times, digging down by going forwards, and I'm going to end up with a hole in the ground. You can get it to do all sorts of other things. So whereas I've spent time here building a wall, that's great in the first instance, but you aren't going to want your pupils wasting lots of time. So what you can do is in the coding element, if you went back, you can get things to agents to build walls. So in this instance, I'm getting my agent to build a wall. It's going to move forwards 4 steps, and it's going to keep placing a block each time. I've selected purple blocks, but you can select various different elements in there. And then what it will do is when I give the chat command, the agent will jump out of the sky, come down on the ground, and it will start to build a wall for me at a new location. So instead of me wasting my time constructing something, I can be thinking about creating, or I can be researching as the pupil or the student in the classroom, and then you get the agent to start doing the work for you. So it might be that you have a word with the computing coordinator if you're in a primary setting, and talk to them about teaching the coding element of this. Or if you're in a secondary school, it might be the IT department or you're the computing teacher. But you can really start to get a cross-curricular aspect. I'm just going to save that and jump out and stop hosting my world, save and exit. But then it can lead out more broadly to other things. So there are other environments. If I go into this, doesn't always have to be Earth-based. So you can go into the ISS space station, and there's a project created by Microsoft where you can look at maybe experiments that are being done on the ISS space station, but using some of those similar elements about levers and so forth. What you can do is you can walk around the existing space station. You can look at things like airlocks or habitat areas versus leisure areas or showers and so forth. What you can do is you can go down and you start to look at adding modules on. So you could extend, you could go through the floor, and you can end up going out into space. It will all help with a space project and trying to investigate what you're doing there. Or if I save and exit on that, if you want to do something more local, so I live over in Berkshire, and what we started to do was take one of those biomes, and it was a valley with some base plates to create a town. And I split the class up, and some of the class got on with starting to make buildings on the base plates, and others of us got on with starting to construct, because we've been looking at bridges as well. So here is a blank environment with some streets in it. And what I've got here are empty areas where buildings could go. So if I jump up above a minute just to go around. So I had some agents and peoples here that were busy building doors and environments and starting to flesh out what was a town hall already created over there. But then we had a valley over here, and there was nothing here to begin with. And I had some people mining, but what we looked at was Ironbridge in Shropshire. And then we had a team where we put scaffolding up, and we recreated the iron bridge to cross the valley, and then invited another class to come in here and evaluate our work and make suggestions about how we can improve. But to help them explore that environment, we put in some signs and some slates so that they were there. That element we're talking about being respectful, because they will take a massive pride in what they've achieved. But there's also a huge amount of deeper level learning going on, because they'll have to grapple, they'll have to problem solve, they'll have to be sure of the facts. But there's options for people to come on and take it to the next level. So my path and my bridge ended there, but we've got a whole nother valley over here. So I could get another class or another team of pupils involved, and we could extend that, or we could have it to come down, and we could have some sort of road that fed back to our town. And then over in our town, we could build community over there as well. So it's open to whatever scope you'd like, but the very first steps have to be just coming in with one of those blank canvases. And you often want to go to view lobby, and then I would go into the starter worlds, and the build plates and blocks of grass is the obvious place to start. And that's where I started that whole wheel I showed you at the beginning, and just let them experiment, and then get deeper and deeper into it and introduce those other elements such as coding. As far as your MIEE application is concerned, I would keep it really basic. I would show how you started to explore it, and maybe discuss with colleagues how it could fit with them and how it might benefit them. And I would leave it there, and I wouldn't take it any further unless you're somebody who has already been using it at a deeper level, and you've got experience of it, and you're already flying, and you've already got a lot of evidence about what you're doing with it across different colleagues and subjects and so forth. That's meant to be a very much a introduction and just getting started, so you've got some orientation. Everything I've shown you today is on Learn in those courses that we looked at in the slide deck. So if you'd like to know more, you can go to Learn, but I've also got a code for you in a minute for some of the 101 course to show that you've actually come along to a training session, and it will help with your experience points for your MIEE application as well. Before I jump away from the Microsoft Minecraft platform itself, are there any other questions you've got, anything you'd like to know about that you think would be really useful? No, not at this point. Okay, it might seem like there's an awful lot to get your head around there, but the first thing is get it installed, have a go, just start with the blocks of grass, and just explore about building something really simple. You might just build a square house to start with, just to get used to the controls and go from there, but then just scale out. But as soon as you get the pupils or the students involved, that's when you learn the most. I've got so many skills by being in a class and just relinquishing some control of the lesson to letting them show me how to the best way to approach it, and that's where I've certainly got the most from it. I'm just going to jump back over to the presentation a moment, and there we go, that should bring us in. So we're currently on the Minecraft education session. What we've got is an optional session called the Expedition, which is available on the 15th of June, where we try and put some skills together. And if you haven't yet built a portfolio of evidence, what we'll have is a scenario. This year's is going to be around space, where you get an option to use different applications, and then from that, use it in your MIEE submission for your self-nomination and application. So that's sometimes useful. If you think that's beneficial, come along to the 15th. If not, we will do the application workshop. The application workshop, I will move it forwards. I'll post in the channel the date I'm going to move it forwards to, because its current date is too close to the submission. But that will come forwards, and we'll go through that application form. So as far as today is concerned, you've got code on screen there to redeem. Same as always, you can pop into your Learn once you're signed in, go to your avatar up in the right corner, and you will go to your profile information, click on achievements, and then the redeem code button, and you can enter the code that's there. The code on screen now, GNZ37M, will remain fully available. So if you want to share it with any colleagues that are trying to achieve this as well, you can. And then, as I've said, we will focus on application and also experience of getting evidence to bolster or enhance your application moving forwards. Just a general feeling on here at the moment, would it be more beneficial to bring the application structuring session forwards and not have the gathering the evidence of using different applications as in M365 applications? Which way round would people prefer to do it? Any strong feeling either way? No, okay. I'll have a think, and I'll pop the decision into the chat. So watch out